This is part 7 as far as our lecture series is concerned on the Indian Penal Code of 1860. And during the last few parts, we understood one principle, that in order to study the provisions of the Indian Penal Code, it is necessary for us to know the offences defined by various sections of the Indian Penal Code. And then, what do you mean by an offence? The word offence denotes a thing made punishable by this code. So the thing which is made punishable by the provisions of the Indian Penal Code is what is known as an offence. And then, in order to discuss further part, we learned one maxim, namely actus non facitrium nisi mensitria. And there, if you want to put this maxim in the form of an equation, we learned offense is equal to mens rea plus actus reus. Now this is just introduction. You will understand the meaning of the maxim and the meaning of mens rea and the actus reus as soon as you finish with the provisions of the Indian Penal Code, with which we will have revision at the end. But whenever we say that somebody has committed an offense, it is required to be proved in a court of law that he had a guilty mind. And this guilty mind of an individual, if you read the definition, is described by various terms like dishonestly, fraudulently, voluntarily, with the intention, with the knowledge, accordingly. And then what do you mean by an actus reus? Such result of the human conduct that law seeks to prevent, which you come to know. So by reading definition of an act which amounts to an offense, you understand what is the mens rea and what is the actus reus as far as that offense is concerned, with which you are dealt to a certain extent. Then we started discussing that, well, in order to commit an offense, it is necessary for an individual to undergo various stages. And which are the various stages regarding commission of an offense? First stage, whenever somebody wants to commit an offense, he has intention to commit an offense. Secondly, he undergoes what is known as a preparation. After preparation, he enters the stage of what is known as an attempt. And after the attempt is over, if it is successful, we say he is liable for commission of an offense as per the provisions of the Indian Penal Code. But then we have also learned that if it happens that a person has crossed the stage of preparation and enters the stage of what is known as an attempt, and he is unsuccessful for various reasons, then what we say? He is liable. And what is his liability? His liability is for attempt to commit that offense. And then there are some sections in the Indian Penal Code where there is express provision as far as attempt to commit an offense is concerned, by way of illustration, not exhaustive, but by way of enumeration. I had made a mention of sections like 307, 308, 309, 393, where attempt is made punishable. In other cases where the attempt is not made punishable, how the quantum of the punishment is required to be determined by the court of law. And for that, if you remember, I had drawn your attention to last section, section 511 of the Indian Penal Code, where if the person is liable for attempt to commit an offense, which is also an offense, and there is no express provision which is made as far as punishment is concerned with respect to an attempt is concerned, in order to determine the quantum of the punishment that can be inflicted by the court of law, you have to refer to the last section of the Indian Penal Code, namely section 511 of the Indian Penal Code. And what is section 511 of the Indian Penal Code? It says, whoever attempts to commit an offense punishable by this code with imprisonment for life, or imprisonment, or to cause such an offense to be committed, and in such attempts does any act towards the commission of the offense, shall, where no express provision is made by this code for the punishment for such attempt, be punished with imprisonment of any description provided for the offense for a term which may extend to one half of the imprisonment for life, or as the case may be, one half of the longest term of imprisonment provided for that offense, or with such fine as is provided for the offense, or with both. So this is, you have to remember that if now if you go through the illustration, And what is the illustration which is given? that I mean you can read. It says A makes an attempt to steal some jewels by breaking open a box and finds after so opening the box that there is no jewel in it. What is his liability? Or A makes an attempt to pick the pocket of Z by thrusting his hand into Z's pocket. A fails in the attempt in consequence of Z's having nothing in his pocket. What is his liability? And then here in this situation we learn that liability of the individual will entirely depend upon what? What is the stage? Now, when he A wanted to commit the offence of theft as defined by section 378 of the Indian Penal Code, if he would have been successful, the liability would have been as per the sections. And then sections theft is defined by section 378. But then section 379, section 380, section 300 and 381 and section 382 are the sections which deal with punishment. And this punishment depends upon what? This punishment depends upon who has committed the offence of theft. Where theft, for example, section 379 deals with punishment in general, whereas section 380 deals with theft in dwelling house. Section 381 deals with theft by clerk or servant of property in possession of master, and section 382 deals with theft after preparation made for causing death, hurt or restraint in order to the committing of the theft. So here, if he would have, when A wanted to pick the pocket of Mr. Z and he could have been successful, his liability would have been as per section 379. Now, what he has done? There is an attempt, but which is unsuccessful, as a result of which now his liability is for attempt to commit theft, and the punishment that can be inflicted by the court of law is half that is enumerated or mentioned as far as section 379 is concerned. So you have to read his you have to determine the quantum of the punishment by determining his liability when he is charged as per section 379 to be read with section 500. You have to read section 511. But for the purpose of understanding section 511, it is must for you to understand section 379, and the half of the punishment can be inflicted by the court of law. We will come to this aspect again during course of our time, no doubt about it, as we proceed further. But right in the beginning, this is a stage where we say he wanted to commit an offense. There was a preparation. He had crossed the stage of preparation. And then yesterday when we started dealing with an illustration where A wanted to commit the offense of murder, he was arrested when he just went out of his house in order to proceed towards house of Mr. B. What is his liability? He went to the market, he purchased revolver, went to the place of Mr. B. And if you remember the situations that I have told you, which is exactly the point of time at which it can be said that he has crossed the stage of preparation. Now, when he starts from his residence for the purpose of purchasing revolver, this is just intention, yet he had not done any preparation. Once he has purchased the revolver for the purpose of killing Mr. B, this is sort of a preparation. Going to the place of Mr. B is also preparation. When Mr. B opens the door and he points out revolver and he is about to fire, or he fires into direction and B sleeps on the ground, whatever was required to be done on part of Mr. A is done by him, and hence what we say, he has crossed the stage of preparation. And he is unsuccessful because Mr. B sleeps on the ground. It is not possible for him to achieve the goal, or could not hit the target, and bullet went out of the window. We say he is liable for attempt. When he fires into direction and the direction of the hand is changed by B's wife who came from backside, there also we say it is attempt. When he fires and he is taken to the hospital, but it never results into death of Mr. B, then he is unsuccessful, and then we say this is what is known as an attempt. When he fires which results into death of Mr. B, then we say this is a situation where he is liable for the offense of murder. And in a case where he points out revolver into direction of Mr. B and starts pulling the trigger, but as the trigger is out of order and it is not possible for him to achieve the goal of the object, there is an attempt on his part. And what is the distinction that we have learned as far as the preparation and attempt is concerned? Attempt is a direct act towards commission of an offense. Attempt begins where the preparation ends. Whatever is required to be done on the part of an individual in order to achieve the goal or the object, if it is done by him and he is unsuccessful because of the circumstances which are beyond his control, at the same time, mind well one thing, he has reached such a stage that even though he may be sorry for the consequences which are likely to take place, it is not possible for him to withdraw. That is exactly a thin and fine line of demarcation with which we shall continue our discussion during course of time, no doubt about it. But right in the beginning, I wanted to make this very clear, because for the purpose of understanding offences, you must know mens rea, actus reus, and you must know stages regarding commission of an offence, namely intention, preparation, attempt and commission accordingly, with which we proceed further. Now, in order to make this concept very clear, imagine a situation where a lady wanted to end her life by jumping into the well. Now, one who studies Indian Penal Code and the law which stands today, up-to-date law, attempt to commit suicide is an offence as far as section 309 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. Yes, that is an offence. So what she wanted to do, she wanted to end her life by jumping into the well. Now, if you read section 309, which says attempt to commit suicide, and it says whoever attempts to commit suicide and does any act towards the commission of such offence shall be punished with simple imprisonment for term which may extend to 1 year, or with fine, or with both. So now this is an offence where, remember one thing, that if woman wanted to end her life and she ends her life, that is the result is ending of the life, the question of liability doesn't arise because she is not in this world. And hence, what is punishable? Attempt to commit suicide is made punishable as far as section 309 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. During course of our lectures, we shall come to this section, namely in detail, where we will try to understand this Indian Penal Code was enacted in the year 1860. And this section, namely section 309 of the Indian Penal Code, has undergone a drastic change because of the decisions that were given with respect to this section by the Supreme Court of India. So we shall be dealing with Gyan Kaur versus State of Punjab. We shall be dealing with P. Ratilam's case, and by that time many other high courts had many decisions which were given by various states of various high courts, with which we may deal during course of time. But now here the point that I want to make clear is that a lady wanted to end her life by jumping into the well. She started from her door and started proceeding into direction. She started running because she was fed up with the life and she wanted to end the life. So the distance between the door and the well was around about 100 feet. Yes, she started running. When she was at a distance of 50 feet, she was caught hold by the neighbor. And then never allowed her to go and jump into the well, and she was taken to the police station. And the charge against her was that there was an attempt on her part. If she would not have been caught hold by the neighbor, she would have jumped into the well, and hence the liability is as per section 309. What is her liability is the question for her consideration. Secondly, she went, she was at a distance of round about 2 feet from the well when she was caught hold by the neighbor. What is her liability? Mind well, as a student of law for exam, forever, in order to understand the sections very clearly, we always take into consideration extreme cases. Facts are undisputed from the point of view of understanding the concept with which we are dealing, and it is only because of the extreme cases that it is possible for us to make our understanding regarding subject very clear. So she was at a distance of 2 feet. 3. She was at a distance of, she was now standing on the platform of the well, and then when she was on the platform of the well, She was caught hold by the neighbor and she was taken to the police station. What is her liability? The last one situation is that she's about to jump into the well and she is caught hold by the neighbor. What is her liability? And the last situation is she jumps into the well. Neighbor also jumps into the well. She is taken out of the well. She is given a medical aid and then taken to the police station on the accusation of offence as defined by section 309 of the Indian Penal Code, which is the stage at which it can be said that she is liable as per section 309. And if you understand this illustration clearly, then I mean your understanding regarding stages would be very clear. When she started from her residence, what was she wanted to do? She wanted to end her life by jumping into the well, and hence we say her intention was to commit offence as per section 309 of the Indian Penal Code. When she was caught at a distance of 50 feet from the well, she is not liable because this is a stage of preparation. Why we say this is a stage of preparation? When she would have taken next step, first step, she would have taken decision not to proceed into direction of well and she would have come back. So there was chance or possibility for her to withdraw, and this is exactly the stage of preparation. When she was at a distance of 2 feet from the well, this is also preparation because there was every chance or possibility for her to withdraw. When she is standing on the platform of the well, yes, instead of jumping into the well, she could have come back. But then in a case where she is about to jump into the well, that is a stage where you have to, understand this only because of the imagination. If she would not have been caught hold by the neighbor, she would have definitely fallen into the well. And she could have achieved the goal or the object because she wanted to end her life. And that was the way in which she had decided to end her life. So that is, we say, it's not necessary for her to jump into the well, mind well. Once she jumps into the well, yes, whatever is required. But before jumping into the well, when she is about to jump into the well, this is also the stage at which it can be said that she has crossed the stage of preparation and enters the stage of what is known as attempt, and there starts his liability. So during course of understanding Indian Penal Code, as we will try to, come to know various offences which are defined by various sections of the Indian Penal Code, in order to understand liability, it is also a must for us to know stages regarding commission of an offence. And hence, if this understanding is clear, we can, deal with various offences during course of our lecture. Now, to make this again very clear, this is a time for me to draw your attention to maybe one more illustration, and that will be the last illustration where for the time being, of course, we shall be taking into consideration many more illustrations during the course of time, but this is one illustration. Whatever may be the reason, wife wanted to kill her husband, and in order to kill her husband, she also wanted, by killing her husband, she wanted to commit the offence of murder defined by section 300 of the Indian Penal Code, which is punishable as far as section 302 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. Now, there are ways and means in which you can kill, and what was the plan that was decided by her? She had prepared some eatable into which she had added sufficient quantity of reliable poison, and she was waiting for the arrival of the husband. And she had decided, I will offer these eatables to husband after his arrival. He will eat, he will start showing the symptoms of poisoning, and that will result, he will succumb to death because of the poisoning, and that's what she wanted to do. In other words, she wanted to commit the offence of murder defined by section 300 of the Indian Penal Code. Now, the various situations, as in few illustrations with which we had dealt. She was waiting for the husband. Somebody knocked the door. When everything was ready in the kitchen, she had prepared whatever she wanted to offer to the husband, to which she had added sufficient quantity of poison which was sufficient in the ordinary course of nature to cause death of a human being. This also counts a lot, the quantity of the poison that is added, because we want, I mean, when we will distinguish between culpable homicide and culpable homicide amounting to murder, this we will definitely take into consideration. So she wanted to do that. So it was there. Somebody knocked the door. She was happy that husband, she thought of arrival of the husband. But I mean, inspector of police came. He straightway went to the kitchen and got that food, to which, I mean, she had added poison, which was taken to the chemical analyzer for the purpose of analysis, and the report was very clear that the quantity of the poison which was added to the food was sufficient in the ordinary course of nature to cause death of a human being. What is her liability is the question for our consideration. First situation, when the food was in the kitchen. Second situation, she had kept everything ready on the dining table, and she was eagerly waiting for the arrival of the husband. Husband arrives. She said she offered husband, we will have now dinner. And then what was done by the husband? Husband had a wash. He came back, and then both of them were sitting on the dining table. But husband had finished his dinner without eating the food, but he just had a glass of milk. What is her liability is the question for our consideration. The third situation, husband never came alone. Husband came with a friend. Husband now finished his dinner without eating food, but his friend consumed entire quantity, which resulted into death of the friend. What is liability of the wife is the question for our consideration. Now, wife wanted to commit the offense of murder. Intention. She had intention. Yes. After intention, there was a preparation. She went to the market. She purchased poison. She prepared food. She added the quantity, kept it ready. These are all stages. This is all what is, I mean, design or planning for the purpose of achieving the goal or the object, and hence what we say, this is a preparation. When the food was in the kitchen and she was arrested, mind well, she is not liable for the simple reason that she had just gone through the stage of preparation. There was no, mind well, attempt on her part, because after arrival of the husband, instead of offering that food to the husband, she would have decided to throw out the food and not to offer it to the husband. So there was chance or possibility for her to withdraw, and hence what we say, she is not liable. She was undergoing the stage of preparation. When husband came, both of them were sitting by the side of the dining table for the purpose of having a dinner, and husband finished his dinner without eating food. What is liability? Whatever was required to be done on the part of the wife is done by her, and now she is unsuccessful because of the circumstances that were beyond her control. That is, husband never ate the food. And that is exactly, we say, she had crossed the stage of preparation and entered the stage of what is known as an attempt, and hence her liability is attempt to commit murder as far as the provisions of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. In the last situation, when husband, with respect to the husband, as husband had not eaten it, her liability is for attempt to kill husband, but result is the death of the friend, and hence this is a part with which we shall be dealing as far as section 301 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned, which deals with transmigration of motive or transfer of malice. And there we will learn, if A wanted to kill Mr. B and he fires into direction of Mr. B and it results into death of Mr. C, I mean, law merely says whoever causes death by doing an act with the intention of causing death. It doesn't say that death of a particular human being, certainly not. And hence, as far as the death of the husband's friend is concerned, wife is liable for the offense of murder. As far as the death of the husband is concerned, she is liable only for an attempt accordingly. As we go on learning the provisions of the Indian Penal Code during course of time, we shall be dealing with many more illustrations, and then as we deal with many more illustrations during course of time, this will be very clear. But right in the beginning, to understand the provisions of the Indian Penal Code, Indian Penal Code is a substantive law. Substantive law is that law which defines rights, duties and liabilities of an individual. When we talk about duty of an individual, it is a legal duty which is required to be distinguished from that of moral duty. And when we say legal duty is required to be defined, and these are the sections where the legal duty is defined, with which we shall be dealing. And then this is the time where, with this introduction now, the if some offense has taken place, what shall be done on the part of an individual, not part of the Indian Penal Code. For example, if offense of murder has taken place in your presence, or somebody has committed the offense of theft in your presence, or you are aware regarding commission of an offense, you are part and parcel of the system of the administration of justice which is prevailing in the country, and then you have to do something. And what is required to be done on the part of an individual is nowhere mentioned. Even if theft has taken place at your place, what you should do is nowhere mentioned in the Indian Penal Code. Why it is not mentioned in the Indian Penal Code? Because it merely lays down what are rights, duties and liabilities. As far as the implementation part of the Indian Penal Code is concerned, the mechanism whereby the Indian Penal Code is implemented is not dealt by the provisions of the Indian Penal Code, but it is dealt by the provisions of the procedural law, namely the Criminal Procedure Code of 1973. I have already delivered 56 part, uploaded 56 part as far as this is concerned, but as we have started, in brief, in short, during the next lecture, what you should do, I will give you some idea regarding the same, and then start dealing with each topic as far as the Indian Penal Code is concerned in detail.